You recording? What's up, Patreon? Today we're going to talk about noise testing in the new facility, specifically around the cooler bench. But to do that, we're going to have to go to another room where we've been working on a sound booth of sorts so that we can duplicate the old noise testing kind of noise floor that we were reaching in the old building. This has ended up being quite a little project. Actually, we could stop here and take a look. So there's some floor door stripping here on the floor that has yet to be installed, but if you want to come over here, Andrew, you can kind of see we've been installing these floor strips or door strips to keep sound in. So the production room is over here, so we don't want any of the keyboard noise or talking to bleed into this other room once we get the noise testing up and going. And then if you want to come in here, Andrew, so here we have the booth, and we'll get to that in a second. No, come back in the room, Andrew. One of the other places we've had to add sound deadening is to the frame of the door here. So we put these foam strips to help further isolate this room from the rest of the office so that none of the extra noise is bleeding in. And we did this over on this other door as well. I don't know if you really need to see that, but it's in there. So one of the big goals we had with getting the sound booth up and running was to duplicate, as I kind of mentioned earlier, but was to duplicate the noise floor that we had at the old building, which was around 27 decibels, which sounds kind of high because it's not 0 or 15 or something super quiet, but it's actually pretty quiet. It's very hard to achieve. So we had a number of, we can come on into the noise, our little sound booth. We had some trouble out of the gate doing noise testing. First I tried it over at the cooler bench, and it was not even close. I think I was averaging like 38 decibels there. There was just road noise and noise from the production room bleeding in, and it just wasn't going to work. So Steve set me to work on building this audio kind of booth as a temporary fix. And when I say temporary, I think the plan is to build something more substantial, like a proper audio booth, working with sound engineers and construction, doing a proper piece of construction in the building down the road to get a noise floor. I think he said in other videos about 15 to 14 decibels. So we went ahead and ordered a bunch of these large audio kind of dampening mats, and as you can see, I bought some room dividers and have just squared off this section of the office, or at least this room in the office. One of the other things we're doing is we've ordered a duplicate motherboard to the one that we use on the cooler bench, and we're going to put that in here so that I can have that bench running, because that's our official test bench, and it's got, it's the one where all the original data has been developed and tested and produced. And then we'll have the duplicate board in here so that we can duplicate all the settings, and I can run the decibel test in here while I'm running other coolers, which I'm pretty excited about because it's going to streamline my workflow even more. As I've mentioned before, possibly in another video, I'm not sure if that's published yet, but working around for sound testing has been really difficult. I think we talked about it in the pre-move video before in the old space, how much it would disrupt everybody's workflow to stop, move everybody to one side of the office, turn off all the AC units, and then do sound testing, and also hope that the other people in the building weren't going to make noise and disrupt the audio testing. So this is going to be a huge step forward. Speaking of HVAC units, we can talk a little bit about that. Steve did us all a great kindness when he designed this building. Each office area has its own rooftop unit with its own control panel, so I can go through and isolate and change the temperature in each room if I wanted to, but more importantly, I can go through the office and turn off all the units that I want to. So if I really want to turn off all the overhead units in the whole building, I can, one by one, and they'll all react instantly, whereas in the old office, there were some units in the hallway that were shared between our space and then another space, and we didn't have any control and we couldn't get upstairs. So like if there was a unit running for one of the places upstairs, we had to just deal with it and work around it, wait for it to cut off. We won't have to do that here anymore, so I'm pretty excited. As far as how this has worked, we have pretty much identically duplicated the noise floor here. I've been able to get 27 to 26.9 dB, which is exactly where we were at, and that was a important goal because we don't want to have to retest and invalidate all of our other data with new data. When we go to build this new audio booth that Steve has talked about, like the high-end one, working with audio engineers, that's going to require a lot more than just throwing it into the mix as far as like doing my noise testing in there. We're going to have to retest, I believe, everything with this new level of like, I guess you could call it fidelity. It's going to give us just that much more accurate readings around our decibel and sound testing. So yeah, this is just such a huge step forward. I mean, I have this space to work in, I have my office, or my desk in the production room, and then I have the CPU cooler test bench area, and I can have all three of those areas running and working independently. Whereas before, I'm sure you guys saw in the move out video, me and Stone were basically back to back, and we were fighting over a little bit of desk space, and I would have to kick people out. So this is really exciting, and I guess I just remembered another like neat little tidbit. We actually left all the cases in here and all this extra stuff because it helps deaden the noise even more. Just having more stuff in the room helps reduce our decibel count. One other thing I wanted to mention was we're always kind of trying to improve and look at a design and improve our process and make things even more professional. As you can see, this is kind of wobbly. So one of the steps we plan to take down the road, as you can see, everything's still very much a work in progress here, is that we're going to take these U-clamps and bolt these up to the wall. I'm not sure. I'm sure some of our viewers might recognize these. These are for conduit normally, but we're going to repurpose them and use them to hold these to the wall and do a drywall anchor and just try to get this a little bit more secure. And we might end up tying the spans to the ceiling just to give it a little bit extra support because it's kind of sagging. These room dividers were originally designed for curtains, and these audio mats, these audio deadening mats, they're pretty heavy. So I think we're asking about as much as these things can handle. Well, thank you guys for your continued support. Again, without Patreon and you guys donating and supporting Gamers Nexus, this kind of stuff just wouldn't be possible, and certainly this new space would not be possible. So I greatly appreciate it, and everybody else on the team does. So we appreciate it.